What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse or DC Direct digital figures. So we have a new wave here of digitals. So first off, we have Batman from No Man's Land, which is pretty cool design. Still a Batman, has the gray and a different like off-color sort of blue there, but still looks cool with the design. Just another basic Batman design. And then we have Nightwing from like his first appearance design with the high disco color, as some people call it. So it looks pretty cool with that nice classic design for Nightwing. So awesome to have him. And then behind that, we get another member of the Bat family with Batgirl, this time being the Stephanie Brown version or spoiler. So it looks pretty cool. Nice to get another addition to the Bat family. And then we have Monarch. So pretty cool to have him, a nice big armored up character to have there. And of course, I'll go through the story of all these characters as we go through. But all these look pretty cool and I'm excited to check them out. So let me get them open out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. So we're going to start off with our No Man's Land Batman, which is a storyline that ran through the Batman comics in 1999, where Gotham was hit with an earthquake, causing the US government to evacuate the population and declare Gotham a no man's land. And so the supervillains and gangs end up taking over the city and split up the territories. So we've kind of had that sort of like storyline going in with like the Arkham City games and then the Christopher Nolan movie, The Dark Knight Rises and stuff. Like I feel that's kind of like the basis storyline for a lot of those. So pretty cool to get this Batman. Now, of course, it is just another Batman. Looks like Batman, especially with the older color designs with the gray and the blues. Of course, this time, though, darker gray and darker blue. So overall, I do really like the design. It's a nice looking Batman. No issues with that or anything. It's just obviously just another Batman. So nothing that exciting going on with it. I do like how he's got like longer ears on the cowl, though. So that's pretty nice how high they're sticking up there. But again, the darker blue color with the cowl going into the cape. So we get the nice, like what I always call like silky material, whatever. So that's nice. It's just kind of hanging off the back, though. Kind of stiff fabric, though. Like I said, the darker gray, so we get the painted on logo on his chest, which love that. The yellow utility belt with the blue underwear, blue gauntlets there with the spikes, blue boots as well on his feet. So it just looks good overall. Just like I said, a very basic Batman design. Just taking that old color design of the blue and gray and just darkening up a little bit. But moon-wise, the head will twist all the way around, can look down that far and up that far, so decent movements in the head, with the shoulders up to 90 with the butterfly and rotate around, get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint. That, of course, always got to be real stiff for me, but can bend all the way up on itself there. We get the wrist that'll twist all the way around and flex on the ball joint. We get the ab crunch back and forth and twist around, and then at the waist, crunch back and forth just a little, and should be able to twist around. It feels pretty stiff, though, but it does twist a little in there. Then down to the hips, that'll come up if you kind of forcing to get it close to 90 there, and out to the side to do the splits. A little bit of a thigh twist up there at the hip, and the double knee joint that bends up that far to the back, all the way down to the foot that rocks back and forth, and should be able to, yeah, there it is, a little stiff twist side to side with the toe joint on the end. So decent movements overall, the standard McFarlane, so nothing surprising there, and we'll probably see very similar movements throughout the videos today. But overall, like I said, nice design for the Batman, works out just fine, so no real issues or anything with this version. Now for accessories, he comes with some additional hands, so we get a set of fist hands, or actually a fist and a grip to go along with his fist and grip, so just the opposite there. And then he also comes with a batarang in the blue color that matches him, so the batarang's, sure, we've seen this design before, but we'll just take it and maybe put it into his open hand that he's got there. Of course, I can never figure out how to get him to hold batarangs to look good, but he'll hold on to the batarang there like that, at least for now. And then, of course, he also comes with the base that has the digital design on it, since it's part of the digital line, so we'll put him on there. And finally, we get his cards. So there's a nice picture design of him, supposed to be from the comics. You can kind of see it. Of course, it does look more like a black or like darker colors. It's hard to really tell what's going on, but just a nice picture. And then we get the part of the story there on the back that I kind of already went through, but we'll go through it again. That says, following the earthquake, Gotham becomes a war zone. It's up to Batman and his allies to restore law and order in one of the Dark Knight's greatest epics. So there's good background storyline for our comic there. So pretty nice overall for this Batman. Like I said, like the design stuff. And I did forget to mention, especially in the opening, that with the pack we ordered off Entertainment Earth, it did also come with the Platinum Edition. So it's going to be the same Batman, just all in black and yellow this time. So it has more of that 89 Batman look to it. But it looks pretty cool as well. I like it. I like the black, but we're not sure if we want it or not, because like I said, it just came with the pack. So don't really know what we're going to do with that yet, but it is a cool design. Just deciding if we want to keep it with this Batman or not. But like I said, overall, it's boring to get another Batman, but at least this is a nice looking one. And next up, we have Nightwing from the Teen Titans, also known as Dick Grayson. So he was shot in the shoulder by the Joker, causing Batman to end his sidekick career as Robin after 6 years. So Dick went off to college at Hudson University, but dropped out after his first semester. And he would continue working with the Teen Titans, but no longer able to use the Robin identity. He adopted a new identity of Nightwing, wearing a costume inspired by his father's from the Flying Graysons. And he moved out of the shadow of Batman and to lead the Teen Titans. It's awesome to get like the first appearance design of Nightwing here. It looks pretty cool. Of course, always funny with the high colors, disco colors, people call it, with his costume. Of course, we've seen a costume design very similar to this before. I think, I can't remember if it was from the Nightfall storyline. I'll show you that figure that we got. But just looks good with the blue, light blue, and then like the yellow design here, whatever it's supposed to be. That's always on his chest and stuff, a little bit there all around the underwear design as well, and goes around to the back. So just pretty nice. And then we get the head there of Dick Grayson, which I do like this because it does look like a nice transition over from Robin and his like haircut there over to this older form where he's got, the hair, of course, it almost looks like they put a gray wash on it, but it's supposed to be blue. And then he's got the more like domino style mask, of course, with the black shading on stuff with the blue mask there. And of course, they put the smile. I always hate when they have the smiles or whatever with the teeth showing. It always makes the figures look weird. So not the best head design there for Dick, unfortunately. But then, like I said, get the outfit design with the high collar showing some of his chest there. And then the tight spandex outfit everywhere else. Love that he's got like little bands there on his wrist. And of course, the blues and like I said, dark blue, light blue continue down. He's got light blue boots there on his feet. Just a nice design. Like I said, very kind of corny and cheesy, but awesome to get the first appearance design of Nightwing here. But for moments, the head will twist all the way around, look down that far and up that far, so not a whole lot of range in the neck, unfortunately. Shoulders up to 90 with the butterfly and rotate around. We get a bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends up that far. Get the wrist all twist all the way around and flex there on the ball joint back and forth. Ab crunch back and forth and twist around. Then at the waist crunch and twist around. Get the hips that come up to 90 and out to the side to the splits. A little bit of a thigh twist up in there. The double knee joint that bends up that far to the back. And then down to the foot that'll rock back and forth and twist side to side with the toe joint on the end. So decent movements once again, very similar to what the Batman had. Not the same bodies, but very similar overall. So works out nice for the Nightwing there. And then for accessories, he comes with a battering version of himself, or a wingding could be, because that's what he sometimes calls his things. But there we got that design, whatever it's supposed to be. Don't know how he's supposed to hold on to this version. I assume, just similar to Batman, just try and get it into his hand somehow so he can hold on to his there. Also comes with the base to put him on, so that'll keep him stable. And he comes with the card with his classic design, so there's what it's supposed to look like there. So I think they did a pretty good job. Obviously it's got a lot more like dark shading on it here, but it's supposed to have that same look to it. And then of course his story on the back of Dick Grayson that says a youthful version of the Justice League, the Teen Titans, featured Robin as leader from the outset. In the 1980s, when the title was relaunched with new characters, Robin grew more independent than ever, living in Titans Tower and later changing his codename to Nightwing. So it's kind of very general storyline for him there. But of course, like I said, with this Nightwing, we've already had a similar version with, like I said, I think it was from Nightfall. I can never remember exactly, but we have this version, so has very similar designs. Of course, more modern in the 90s and stuff, where he has more of the mullet design there. Got rid of the disco color, but still has the dark blue and yellow designs on the chest and stuff. So this is just a more modern design of the same outfit there. Like I said, very cheesy for the outfit design and all that, but it is really cool at least to get the first appearance Nightwing. And next up, we've got Batgirl, the Stephanie Brown version. Now, she's the daughter of Gotham villain the Clue Master, and she developed the costume and identity of the Spoiler to spoil her father's criminal plans. And her patrols as a superhero brings her into contact with Batman and Tim Drake, who she would eventually begin dating. And at one point in time, she does take over the role of Robin for a short time, but it didn't go well, so she went back to being Spoiler. And years later, Cassandra Cain would give over the Batgirl identity to Stephanie, and Stephanie becomes the pupil to Barbara Gordon, and later they form the Batgirls with Gordon, Kane, and Brown. So pretty cool to have this design here. Of course, this is from the Batgirls design. So it's pretty much her Spoiler costume. You just throw a bat logo on her chest is pretty much the only difference, but looks good overall for her, especially with the purple and black. I think it looks cool. So there we get her face. Of course, she does have this hood, which of course with the McFarlane designs, doesn't really work out too well. It is nice because it does have a wire in it, so you can get it adjusted. I just can never get it to look good. And then they kind of have the point there in the back, so I don't always like that design. But it's like I said, we get the fabric like cloak as well. So you get the hood and the cape piece, and then of course has metal wire on the sides of it. So it works out pretty nice that much. Just can't get it to look the best. But then we get her face, so it looks good there. So some of her face, you can only really see her eyes there, but has a black covering over her mouth, and then her blonde hair. So she got the bangs at the front. Love that she got the ponytail in the back, and then the two off to the sides there as well. So just keeping her hair all together there. Then we get her outfit again, mostly all black, but has the purple thrown in. So purple on like the shoulders coming down the sides of her chest with the purple bat logo on there. So that's nice. Then it has like a Batman like design belt as well there. So with the little bat design to it. Then we get the purple gloves on her hands, some purple padding running down her thighs, and then purple boots on her feet as well. So just like the color combination of the purple and black, I think it looks pretty cool. Now when I was reading the comics years ago, Stephanie Brown was in as spoiler and stuff, so prior to becoming Batgirl, so I knew about her and was familiar with her and stuff. Then of course years later she became Batgirl finally, so nice to get her represented in a figure form. Now, moon-wise, we get the head that'll twist around, of course, with all the hair and stuff, kind of calling. You can see that hood sort of separate, so it twists around there with her hair there and stuff, so that's pretty nice. And then look down that far, and then up just that far. So not a whole lot of range, unfortunately. Shoulders up to 90 with the butterfly, and rotate around. Get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends all the way up on itself. Wrist twist around and flex there on the ball joint. We get the upper ab crunch that'll crunch back and forth and twist around, and then shitty out the waist crunch and twist around as well. Then we go to the hips up to 90 and out to the side to do the splits. Not much of a thigh twist on her. Double knee joint that'll bend up that far to the back, and then down to the foot, rock back and forth and twist side to side with the toe joint on the end. So it works out pretty good for overall, thinner body, so you get a little bit better range in some of the joints and stuff, but overall works out, very similar to the rest of the McFarlane figures. But accessory wise, she comes with the same accessories we've gotten with almost all the other Batgirls. So first we get a bat grapple, so the grapple gun with the grapple hook shooting out, so we put that into her hand. She has this one that's like the trigger finger design, we can put it in. So there she got the grapple gun in her hand, and then she also comes with the gold battering. Again, we've got these accessories with other Batgirls before, so kind of stinks that we don't get really anything new or whatever for it. And of course this one's huge, and I don't know how you're supposed to get her to hold onto that because it's so thick and big and stuff that's too big for her, it seems like, especially for the female hands. So she looks cool there. Of course we can get the base, we'll put her on to keep her standing, so that'll work out there with that, so that looks good. And then of course we also get her cards. There's a nice picture of her, looks awesome with the spoiler Batgirl costume design, and then we get the story for Stephanie Brown on the back. It says, as Batgirl, Stephanie fought crime on her college campus at Gotham University with the help of her own oracle of sorts, computer expert Proxy. Thanks to a grant from Batman Inc., Batgirl set up shop of her own Batcave, like hideout she called the Firewall. So there's more explanation specifically for the Stephanie Brown, but of course now having Stephanie, we can add her in with the rest of our female Bat family. So there's other family members. Of course, we got Barbara Gordon Batgirl, Cassandra Cain Batgirl, and then Batwoman as well to go along with them. So now we have 4 females of our Bat family to throw in here, which is pretty nice, adding Stephanie Brown now, especially with our Batgirl's design there. So pretty cool overall adding her to the collection. I think she looks pretty cool and everything. So nice addition. And our final character of the wave is Monarch, who is Nathaniel Adams. Now, he was a U.S. Air Force officer during the Vietnam War, where he was framed for a crime he didn't commit and was sentenced to death. But to avoid execution, he was invited to a military experiment that had a small chance of survival, which was exploding a nuclear bomb under an alien ship while Adam was in it. He survived because the alien metal melded to his body and was thrown forward in time 20 years into the future, becoming a superhero known as Captain Atom. Following the Infinite Crisis storyline, Adam was severely damaged and releasing radiation, so an updated Monarch armor was made to contain his radiation. And during the Countdown storyline, he became aware of the multiverse and the monitors, so he planned to attack them and rule as a unified Earth. He created an army and wanted the strongest of all heroes, so he took up multiple versions of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and etc., and made them all fight to the death, with the survivors being able to join his army. So he was nearly successful until he was damaged by Superman Prime, and the chain reaction destroyed him and Earth 51. So that's a lot of storyline and very complicated for Monarch, because Monarch started out, supposed to be another character, then turned out to be Adam, especially Adam from another storyline or timeline and stuff. Just very all confusing for him, but at least in this figure form, he looks really cool. Like this design for Monarch, where he's got this big armor, and again, it's supposed to be Adam inside, which I'll show you the Captain Atom if you don't remember who he is or what he looks like and stuff. But big armor guy here, loved all the silver armor, which has a nice metallic to it and stuff. stuff, almost maybe like a wash or something over it as well, like a dry brush, which looks pretty cool. But then love the blue as well, so he has like the blue mask covering him. Again, he's supposed to be all contained, so all covered up, but blue, like their mask design and hood, whatever, covering him up and going down the body and down the sides, and it should be down the legs as well, but transfers more into this darker gray material to the big blue boots there on the seat. And again, I love a lot of the blue having the metallic design in it as well. But I love how he's got like almost like the crown design, so the piece that goes around his head and then up like a crown, like I said, with the yellow there, yellow belt around the waist, again, all has metallic wash on it as well. Some like the skirting piece hanging down the side, so blue on the sides, gray in the middle there, the yellow knee pads again going into those blue boots, and then he has almost like these big gauntlets on as well with gray robotic like hands, it looks like there. Just looks pretty cool at the design. Like I said, that's the thing about this, like storyline's all weird and complicated, but at least the figure to me looks really cool. But movement-wise, his head will twist around, and I'm not sure if it'll twist all the way around because of like all the color and stuff around, but at least twist side to side, and you look down that far and then up just about that far. So yeah, not a whole lot of range, unfortunately, mostly because of all the armor around him. But his shoulders will come up to 90 with the butterfly and rotate around, get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends up that far, which isn't bad. Get the wrist that'll twist around again with the design. You know, it's hard to really get twist all the way around, and should be able to flex. It depends. It's hard to see where the ball joint is exactly there. There, kind of flexes up and down is the position. Then we get the ab crunch, so crunch back and forth and twist around again, pretty stiff there, just twist a little. And then as you kind of saw, but again, hard to get down in there, there's a crunch at the waist, and there it'll twist all the way around. So you at least have that in there. Then the hips will come up to 90 and out to the side that far. A little bit of a thigh twist up in there. The double knee joint that'll bend up to the back. Of course, hard to really get it there, but it bends up that far to the back, which isn't bad. And then we get down to the foot that'll rock back and forth a little there, rock back and forth, and twist a little side to side again with the big clunky boot design. Hard to really get those movements, and has the toe joint on the end, so just a little bit of movement there in the toe joint. So a big clunky character that doesn't have the best movements, but obviously not surprised, especially with all the armor and everything he's got, but looks really good. Like I said, just absolutely love the look of this character. Now, accessory-wise, doesn't come with anything specifically for him, but we get the base that we'll put him on. Of course, with those boots, though, he doesn't have any shoes standing, so no real issues with him there. And, of course, we get his card as well. So there's a picture of him from the comics. I think it's from the Countdown storyline. And then we'll get him on the back. Of course, his real name, Nathaniel Adams. And it says Nate Adam became the new incarnation of his main adversary, Monarch. He recruits an army to battle the Monitors, but is successfully opposed by a team of alternate Captain Adam. So there's a bit of story. Again, still confusing, even the way they have it written on there. And as I mentioned, though, it is Captain Adam. So here is our Captain Adam here. So that's, you know, the character inside of the suit there. And same Nathaniel Adams. So looks pretty cool overall, like I said, especially for the armor design stuff. They like the design. I just wish the story was a little bit more clear on, because it's very confusing. Well, that's be it for our DC Multiverse Digital Wave 5 figures, where we got the No Man's Land Batman, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Monarch. All four of these are really cool. Like I said, could definitely skip out on Batman because we don't need another Batman, but this is a nice design. I do like this one, as well as the platinum with the black and yellow design. It does look pretty cool. Nightwing's awesome in his first appearance design. Getting the Stephanie Brown Batgirl, always nice to have her, another Bat family member. And like I said, this Monarch just looks so cool. Just love his design and everything, so happy to have him as well. So again, 4 more characters added to the collection that I think are all pretty nice and cool. Just like I said, unfortunately, we get another Batman. So let me know what you thought of this wave down in the comments, and if you enjoyed my review, let me know with that like and hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.